Oh, now it's saying the broadcast is live.
Oh my. We're gonna go ahead then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Hello everyone. Welcome. Oh my goodness. Welcome to a Trauma Talk Tuesday segment with myself, your Freedom Coach Nataushia Miller. And our guest speaker this evening, musical artist Takiyah Franklin.
Yeah.
Wow, we were just talking, you all, for about a good 5 minutes or so before. But it's all good.
Yeah, you were telling everybody about how we met.
Right. So we'll start over with that.
Yeah.
Takiyah and I met in junior high, Bret Hart Middle School in Hayward, California. She was in 8th grade, I was in 7th, and we were both on the cheerleading team. So that's how our journey started.
Mm-hmm.
Moved on Hayward High, and then I moved to Antioch, so I never went to follow her to high school. But years later, after I graduate from high school, I go to Dillard University and at Dillard.
We meet again.
Right.
Yes.
And then the same thing happened long ago. We ran into each other and benefit concert featuring American Idol. Backups.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The delay is pretty strong on my end, so I'm only catching like bits and pieces of what you're saying, but we'll just keep moving through it.
Right. It'll pick back up because it started to do well before and then kind of went out a little bit. So that's how we got back reconnected. Welcome, Miss Shavia. Thank you for joining us via YouTube.
Shavia! Hey, girl.
Yeah, you see her new photo too. Hey.
Love it. Very spicy. Get it, girl.
So we're and sitting simultaneously, how to master the art of soaring while seated. And what you how we have to learn how to not always overcome something, because it's a process. The thing about healing from trauma and overcoming trauma is a process. So before we can actually overcome, sometimes we have to learn how to live with to overcome it. And you were talking about the level of emotional trauma. So what is a specific traumatic experience that triggered some emotional trauma in your life that you had to learn how to live with and navigate through so that it will not keep you stuck in any place in your former past or even in the present, to where you're not pursuing the things that your heart desire?
Yeah, when I started to really do work to try to understand patterns in my romantic and intimate relationships, it took me back to childhood trauma that I had experienced. Because when my mom and my dad separated, I was like 6 years old, and I literally remember like sitting on the steps crying, like bawling, crying, like so from a deep place, because I just didn't understand. And I really, as a young child, if you remember your young self, my young self, I thought I knew everything and I thought I could understand everything. But the pain of my parents separating was so overwhelming for me, because I just didn't understand. And I remember asking my dad every time he had to leave, because he would come and visit us. I remember asking him, like, why are you leaving? Like, just why are you leaving? You don't have to leave. And he would tell me, like, I'll explain to you when you get older. I'll explain to you when you get older. And I was like, no, explain it to me now. I can understand now. And that pain was so heavy for me, and I learned how to cope with it then, as a young girl. And then when I became a young woman and I started to think about, well, what did relationship and connection and even potentially marriage look like for me? I remember having another conversation with my dad, and I was just like, I don't even know how it could be possible for me to ever be with anybody, because I've never seen a successful relationship. And at that moment is when I really started to recognize how damaged, my perception of relationship and connection was, because of the pain of separation that I felt and experienced. Because even though the beginning of my parents' separation started when I was 6, over the years, the emotional trauma of my parents just like not getting along took a further toll on me. And I, again, learned to suppress and ignore those kinds of emotions and even become numb to a certain degree. But once I started to move into a place of wanting and desiring relationships for myself, is when and they were failing, is when I really had to contend with the history and the emotional trauma that I had been carrying for so long. I had become so good at, suppressing feelings or ignoring them, that when I decided to really get serious about trying to understand myself, all of that surfaced for me. And even as an adult, sometimes we think it's, trivial to value the experiences that we had as a child. But now I understand those are the most, foundational experiences that shape our life. And if we can take the time to understand what was going on in our childhood psyche, and then look retrospectively to evaluate, it gives some insight into, what kind of patterns we're experiencing today. At least that's what I've come to learn from, years of just critical self-reflection and therapy sessions with a professional therapist and conversations with my best friend, really just doing the work to unpack who I am and where I am and how I've gotten to where I am. Because I noticed, some of those patterns that I was not anticipating or continuing in my life were in fact carrying on, right? So that was a long-winded response, to your question, but I would definitely
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very thorough. Excellent response, because a lot of times we really don't realize the magnitude of our childhood traumas and how they scar us deeply until we hit a point in our adulthood. And it's like, okay, where is this really coming from? And then we realize that we have to go back and, like you said, unpack who we are, where we are, and how we arrived where we are, so that we can change the narrative.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love how you said to go back and look retrospectively to evaluate our childhood. When we're children, we don't have the mental capacity to critically think, and we don't have the emotional capacity to process our emotions well. And we really don't have the capacity to look at any of the traumas we experience outside of our own selves. It's a very egocentric perspective, because we're just limited in those dynamics as a child. So as an adult, we're going back with our adult mindset, that the capacity we now have to critically think, process our emotions, and think retrospectively, and engage critical self-reflection to really unpack what was really going on with the little child within, because we're still carrying that person with us today. And then we're able to not only find ways to heal the hurt, but we're also find ways to reconcile, come to a resolve, and to capture the lessons, capture the treasures that was actually left in the rubble of those traumatic experiences that we were unable to identify at that time. with where we were. So, and I love how you say I had to contend. Come on now, with the history and emotional trauma. It's a fight, y'all. It's a fight to shift and change that narrative. So now that we have a little of the backdrop, share with us how you've come to a place where, because when we were having a conversation, when I reached out to you to invite you on, I was really moved by when you said that you were just in meditation and some things came up to the surface that's like, oh, I haven't thought about this in years, but this is something that I need to reconcile. This is an area I may need to have some more forgiveness or compassion or whatever it is to make peace in those areas. So how did you come to get to a place to where you've you found ways such as meditation and probably other ways that you probably do, especially with you being a musical artist, to quiet your soul so that you could still maintain inner peace, so that you could continue to press forward and soar in life despite the emotional traumas or hurts and things that you may still encounter on a daily basis because life continues to happen. So share with us that.
I love that. And I think what came up for me at that moment, and if I don't know what the sound quality is going to be like, but I want to share a little snippet of one of my songs. This was like one of the first songs that I wrote on my first EP, the first EP is called Drifting. And the song that's coming up for me right now to share is called Reasons. And I wrote this particular song thinking about my first real heartbreak. Right. And I wrote the song though as like the person outside of me, like what I would want somebody to say to me if I was feeling that pain. And so I'm going to talk through some of the lyrics and then maybe play a little snippet of the song. But it goes, the lyrics say, far away, do you hear the planets spinning? It's another world to love and live in harmony. You don't have to worry. Know that things are brighter on the other side of the pain that's hurting you at this moment. Put your head to the sky, right? And so part of that verse is one, giving us an opportunity to think about how vast and wide this universe that we live in is. And sometimes when we're dealing with emotional trauma and emotional pain, the world wants us to make us think it's insignificant, right? Like me, that little girl, that little 6-year-old girl that used to sit on the porch and cry and pour my heart out. I didn't have anybody to come and tell me like, it's okay. Like this feeling is going to pass. This is normal. You're having separation anxiety. You're experiencing some fears. We're going to work through this. And this is how. I didn't have nobody telling me that. It was just like, get in the house and be done with the crying, kind of thing.
Right.
And then, in another context, when I did, start to experience my little puppy love or whatever, in my mind, I was really, really in love, and so when that relationship ended, and I was with this person, like all through high school. And so I was like all in the fairy tale of like, oh, I'm going to have my high school sweetheart kind of thing. Right. I had a really hard time letting go of that idea, and then also healing from it because, the person was like my best friend. And I couldn't understand why I had to just kind of move past that love. But the song Reasons came up for me as a way to say, like you can look past this emotion. Just think about how vast the universe is. And that became an exercise for me to be willing to unlock my imaginative ability from that one picture that I had set in that one context of experience. And so, music has been, a supplemental therapy for me, and writing music has really been, a balm or a soothing mechanism, so to say. In this, let's see. So here's some of it. I don't know if you can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it.
This is what I'm saying. To love and live in harmony, you don't. You don't have to worry. Never have a heartache. Love, it feels so right. And the fear that's holding you at this moment will finally subside. These are my reasons to live,
Yeah.
to be. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, girl. So reasons, I really
I
encourage
love it.
Listen, go check out Reasons. All of my music is on Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube. And that particular song is from my first EP. And so all of my EPs I've done 4 at this point are like my journal put to rhythm, to to music, so that I can help myself remember what I needed to hear, in the midst of that pain. And so, music has been a tool to really unlock things for me, and not just my music, other artists too, that I can just listen to on repeat. And I love me some gospel music now. Like, I do not go far away from my foundations. There's always some beautiful worship music that I feel like if you're open to it and if you allow space to a space in your heart to receive a message, a lot of the gospel music is really designed sonically to just unlock and lift you and take you higher out of whatever you're having, right?
To strengthen you to soar. That's what I'm hearing. Woo-wee, to soar above.
Well, I don't even like, I push back on the strength concept, and I really appreciate Gabrielle Union. I recently listened to her audiobook, or she has her autobiography out, but I got the audiobook on Audible. And there was a section in there when she was talking about like just the whole concept of strength. And as Black women, we are just kind of built that way. Like, it's just automatic. Certain things you just do, you just get it done because ain't nobody else gonna come and do it for you. But then part of what she really unlocked for me was this idea. It's like, strength to what end though? Like, right. How strong for what? And so I'm learning, like you said, read new narratives. I'm really recognizing that I don't think that I'm all that strong. I'm actually quite sick of being strong. I've just learned how to surrender. I've learned how to get into a space to where I just know I'm at capacity and I don't have anything left in me. And I have to surrender to the foundation of knowing that there's something higher that's going to then come in and fill me up. And I've been brave enough to get myself into that place of recognizing where I need to just completely move out of the way. I don't have the answers. I don't know what to do at this point. I don't know what to say. I don't know where to turn. I am completely, right now, just trusting and believing that the thing that I believe in, if you do believe in something, is going to come through and fill you up and then guide and take it over. And that's a high calling. That's not something that's easy.
Good. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because we think strength is like vogue. I'm so sick of being strong. Like, I don't.
Yeah, it's really, really our society and our culture has contaminated and perverted the concept of strength, because all of those things that make us strong are the things that society says makes us weak. And like you say, surrendering, being vulnerable with where we are in our humanity, allowing ourselves to feel the pain, allowing ourselves to cry the tears. That's when the strength comes. It really comes in those moments of vulnerability.
Yes.
And it brings, when we just pour out all that's in us, when we just release it, it's like now we're light. It releases the weight, and now we can rise above that
Right.
space. It gives us the strength to soar. We have to be light to soar. You can't have any weights on your wings if you're gonna soar high. But you're not going nowhere.
Exactly.
And so so I love how you're describing the true essence of what strength is, and is really articulating the difference with how society has tainted the view, the narrative of what strength actually is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I think that I really think that's good stuff. That's real good stuff. And Shavia is right on point with the train of thought that I had, because in order to surrender, you have to be strong,
Right.
You have to like, there's at my spiritual community, I'm a member of Heart and Soul Center of Light. And there is a minister there. Shout out to Sonia. When she prays, I always remember a part of her prayer. She says like something like, "Thank you for giving me the good sense to know to be thankful," or something like that, right? Like we have to give thanks for having the sense to know when to just get out of the way, like to just give it all to gratitude, and to go into thanks for what you do have and what you can do, instead of focusing on the lack or the limitation or the not enoughness or the stuff that's saying that, that's looking like a molehill or a big boulder in front of you that you can't get over, right? It's like, no, look at what you can do. Thank you for the breath in my body. Thank you for the sight in my eyes, if you have it. Thank you for my hands, my feet, that I can hear, that my lungs are operating, that the blood is flowing. Like we can at least start there, right? And then give thanks for that. And then that gives us some currency to know that I still got a little bit, of fight.
There's hope.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's not over.
Right.
It doesn't end here.
And those are the extremes. I'm like, I've been in those places when I've just had to just completely surrender at that level. I'm in another place now in my life where I'm like, oh, wow, my cup is running over. I am experiencing the overflow right now. And I'm so grateful that I have something to pour out. And so, even from this space, before I open my mouth, I am in surrenderance to say, this is not about me. I'm in surrenderance to say, what is it that needs to show up in me so that there can be something that someone else can take away, allow me to continue to be worthy enough to show up as a vessel for the highest and the best. And that's really the mission that I'm on right now, especially given the current social context with the pandemic, and how politicized everything is, and then the fear is running rampant, and then people are getting sick and people are experiencing grief out of this world. Like right now we got a lot going on, right? It's a lot going on.
And I love it because you really just thoroughly define the concept of soaring while seated.
Yeah.
And it's really all about maximizing your now, being completely present in the present.
Yeah.
And to do that, we must sit in gratitude, sit in thanksgiving.
That's right.
Sit in self-awareness. We have to be self-aware to even know that we need to surrender. We have to sit in authenticity. And then we're able to soar in the abundance of who we are. We're able to soar in our connections and in our relationships. We're able to soar externally because we've developed a habitation within where we're seated in peace. Come on now, somebody.
Well, that is beautiful. That word.
I'm just saying what you said in different words. I just want to bring it back to where people know we still talking about soaring while seated.
That is. And it's so beautifully said. I love it.
Yes.
Sit in that gratitude. sit
right?
in
And
that
it brings
authenticity.
harmony.
Yeah.
It brings harmony to our lives. And we're going to get ready to close out with this point because you're a woman of many hats. You know, you have your career, you're a musical artist, you have that, you're an entrepreneur in those ways, you have 3 children, you know, you have various different hats because you've been working on yourself and really mastering the art. Everything in your life is harmonized. There's balance. You've learned how to bring harmony to your various different spaces, places, relationships, and responsibilities and hats, to where even in the midst of pain, even in the midst of the pandemic, you're soaring, you're flourishing, and you're serving out of the abundance of you because you've mastered this art of soaring while seated.
Yeah.
And the most important part of those 2 words is sitting. We got to sit to soar. Come on now, somebody.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love it. I love it. So I
Yeah.
really wanted to just, you know, really highlight that and the beauty of who you are as a woman, Takiyah. I know all of us still got things that we go through behind the scenes, but the glow, it doesn't lie. You know, the glow does not lie that you've really been taking care of the internal work to where what we see from the outside looking in is real. It's not fabricated. It's authentic. It's you. So thank you so much for being the woman that you are, for contending with your history and all of the work that you've done and that you continue to do, because it is a blessing to everyone who is connected to you, Takiyah Franklin.
Thank you, Nataushia. You are so beautiful. You have always been so beautiful. And again, I am really, really grateful to see you doing your work, honey, right? Because what would we be without each other, right? Like you're so validating and affirming in such a beautiful, authentic way. And I'm just over here in gratitude at, you know, like how in command you are, you know, over the direction of your life, over your conviction as a freedom coach, and really having benefited from just taking the step to work with you, right? Like it's no joke when you're really dealing with women who are prayer warriors, who understand the power of God, and then who understand not just how to speak it, but apply it. That's a whole nother level. And so I'm so grateful to have you in my circle, right? Like literally, girl, after we did that session, I'm like, new job, got cheer of the
I know you just took off. I just saw you. I just saw you
what
go.
in the world is going on here? You know?
It was amazing,
Girl.
and I tell you, Takiyah, because 2 things that I never really told you. You inspired my Recover It All program.
Oh.
I created that program as a result of one of our conversations.
Oh,
because
wow.
And I can't remember. I know we were talking about more of like our culture background as African Americans and things of that nature. And you had mentioned the narrative, how we have to work to rewrite the narrative, and that just stood out to me. And I went and I sat with the Lord. And he started taking me through some journeys and stuff. And then I ended up developing Recover It All. And it's all about rewriting the narrative. I walk participants through a process of revisiting traumas all the way back to infant. And we go through each stage of development and rewrite their narrative.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's powerful. That's actually become my most popular on-demand program.
I love that.
Than any of the other ones. And then also, one of the times too, I had a dream about you. And in the dream, it was like I was with you in Oakland somewhere. But I was more so observing. And I was observing you had like a team of people and stuff. And we were going to different locations because they were shooting a video. You guys were like recording video. And then like about a year later, then you started coming out with videos. Like I saw that in the dream.
Okay, I love it,
time.
We connected.
And we're connected, and I'm always still like, when we were in middle school, I'm still cheering you on. We were cheering on the teams, but we still cheerleaders at heart. So I'm still cheering you on.
Girl, you my cheer sister. We can keep on cheering each other on, because I'm like, whatever I can do to keep supporting your work, because I've benefited from it. I'm like paying customer. Okay. I'm so proud. And looking forward to doing more work with you. This is phenomenal, Nataushia. Please,
most definitely.
This is beautiful work, and we're mutually benefiting from both. Walking in our purpose authentically. So
yes.
However I can show up. However I can show up, girl. Call on me.
yes. Well, thank you so much. Thank you to those of you who are with us for the live broadcast via YouTube. I'm going to just have to post this YouTube clip on the Facebook page, because we kind of missed y'all over there, but it's all good. But thank you to those of you who catch the replay. We're going to get on out of here. So this is your Freedom Coach Nataushia Miller and musical artist Takiyah Franklin.
And don't forget,
until next time, go ahead and share all of where they could find you before we go.
Yes, please Google me, baby.
He's Googleable.
Takiyah Franklin, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. I would love for you to get my music into your lives. My objective is to win you as a listener, to win you as a fan. On social media, you can find my EP, Higher Light. I want to see you cook into that music, make a reel cook into it, make a reel walking down the street to it, make a reel combing your hair to it. Higher Light, the EP, Unfolding, I Affirm. It's all about giving us that vibration that takes us soaring while we're seated. So
yes. And for those of you catching on YouTube, I will be updating the information in the section of the YouTube. So you'll see a bio, and you'll see all of her links and stuff within 24 hours. Okay.
Oh, another quick plug before we take off. My current project, I Affirm Love, is currently featured at Somo Arts in San Francisco in the Black Woman is God exhibit. And it's called, If You Can Imagine It, It's Real, right? And so I Affirm Love, my 3-song EP, is also on display, featured there. The music video is a beautiful production. You can also check it out on my Instagram at Takiyah Franklin, Facebook Takiyah Franklin, YouTube Takiyah Franklin. Find me.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Nataushia.
Facebook and YouTube. Hold up, I'm about to put these in the comments real quick and show it. Okay. So I Affirm Love 3-song EP, and then you can find her at Takiyah Franklin on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. All right. So I want to type that in real quick, put it on the screen so you all can see it. Please follow and support Miss Takiyah Franklin, because she's doing great things that's positive, that's uplifting, and we want to support everything that's positive these days. Okay. We don't need no more sad songs. Wade in the water. Let's support those who are really contributing things that's positive, that's going to help lift our souls, lift our spirits, and help us move forward as a people into our best selves. Okay. Beautiful. All righty. Peace and freedom to you all.
Peace.